This is the second year of yearly entrepreneur interviews. It's 2025 and it's been about 2 years of running the business. And I'm excited to see answering these questions, what will have changed, what will be the same. And I hope you can find some value in some of my answers. And if not, maybe you just find it insightful or entertaining. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy. And let's get started.
How do you feel starting this year?
I feel good starting this year. I think it's funny. I did watch the last interview back yesterday, and I think I said last year that there were some habits that I had to get back to doing. Mindset in terms of how productive I was feeling and sort of my ability to just attack tasks head on. And I think coming home from exchange, I've definitely had to ramp up my gear and my work ethic a little bit, but I've had so much time to look forward to doing it and to prepare that I'm basically hitting the ground running at the moment. So I feel good, I feel productive, I'm super excited to get started, and I think it's gonna be a great year.
What was the biggest challenge you overcame last year?
The biggest challenge I overcame last year. I'll give two answers to this. I'll give one business answer and one personal answer. I think business-wise, it was continuously working with my clients and adapting to their needs. Even though this is definitely something I was already doing and had anticipated, just following through with it and reaching certain parts of the program that respond very different to different clients was something I had to learn while doing, basically. And so I think that was one of the biggest challenges, at least that I faced and overcame. I ran a bunch of ads that didn't produce the results I wanted, so I won't say that I overcame that challenge. But I mean, I definitely learned from doing it. So, take from that what you want. But I think, having to adapt and learn while you're sort of getting your business up and running, I think once again was the biggest business challenge. I think in a personal sense, I was probably challenged the most by having to run the half marathon that I did last year. I think it was very natural in the sense that it was simply because I had not run that distance yet. I knew I would be able to do it and complete it. And so it was not because of doubt. It was just a matter of being in the moment and then actually facing the resistance while doing it and wanting to quit, for the last fifth of the race or however much it was, and not doing that, but persevering and completing it. That was really nice.
What was the biggest achievement you made last year?
I think the biggest achievement kind of comes on top of the obstacles I mentioned before. I think succeeding like 95% of the way with one of my clients and succeeding with another one were some of the biggest challenges I'd waited on for a long time, or not challenges, were some of the biggest results I'd waited on for a long time. Those felt really, really good. Also, they're super, super crucial for the direction of the business and proving that what I believe can happen will also happen.
What was the most important lesson you learned last year?
I definitely learned a lot of lessons. So the most important one, when I went on exchange and really took a big step out of the business or working on the business, I think to a large extent I was reminded that nothing is going to happen except when you make it happen. You can have all the good intentions, you can make all the preparation, you can want it a lot, but if you don't, when you don't do anything, nothing happens. And you can kill the momentum and set yourself back. And that will have a profound impact. Whereas if you continue doing just a little bit all the time to keep the ball rolling, it'll be much easier to sustain the momentum. And that's so important in terms of like not ruining all the work you've done leading up to a certain point, basically. So, I mean, getting started with work, continuing your work, not quitting, those are all like super important lessons and stuff that I'm, of course, continuously learning as well, or being reminded of. But just the kind of the stark slap in the face of, if you want something to happen, you are the sole responsible person for going out there and making it happen. And coming to terms with that and then accepting it and being okay with it.
What was the most expensive failure slash misprediction slash choice you made?
Probably, I'm not gonna say, so the ads I did, which didn't produce the results I wanted, of course cost money, but I wouldn't consider them failures in that regard because I learned things that I had to learn. But I think there were some like business, government related regulation things that I missed the deadline for and like had to kind of then pay because of missing that deadline. And so I think not always being on top of things when you know you have a message, check it, respond if you can respond, pay if you have to pay, deal with it in the moment if you can, or make sure you dedicate a time to fixing it so you don't have to end up later paying the penalty for your inaction. I think that was probably the most expensive mistake.
What were the top 5 books you read in 2024?
Yeah, so unfortunately I ended up only reading 12 books last year, even though I wanted 24. But what were the top 5 books? I reread a few books, still love The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, still love Expert Secrets. Let me just check my list to make sure. Like it's been a while because while I was in exchange, I basically didn't read any books. $1 Million Weekend by Noah Kagan was a really good book. I think it's a great book for people who want to do some kind of entrepreneurship, maybe just want to be a solopreneur and don't want like the big business with employees and like huge amounts of responsibility, but just want to be able to provide for themselves doing something they like. I reread Never Split the Difference, again, an amazing book. And then probably the one other new one that I want to add, which I thoroughly enjoyed, was Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, a book on leadership, and it was just absolutely incredible. One I would definitely recommend to anyone who would want to get into leadership or who is a manager and are managing other people. I think those are definitely like a couple of rereads and then those 2 new ones.
What are you looking forward to the most this year?
When I think what I want to happen in 2025, really doubling down on priorities and being super, super intentional with how I spend my time. Like I want to continue the startup coaching program or startup accelerator program. And that's going to continue, that's going to grow and progress. But I think like when I want to look back on what I did this year, I think more of like what are the choices I make, and I just want to be super clear with how I spend my time, how I make my decisions, who I spend my time with, making sure that I stay as true to my values as possible. Like so basically just being like authentic and being true to myself and my ambition. That's probably the short and simple answer.
And what are some of the challenges you expect to face?
Yeah, good question. I really want to take on more clients for the next round of the coaching program or the startup accelerator program. And so I expect that taking on more clients will come with a greater deal of responsibility, a greater workload, less flexibility for me. And so I expect that to be challenging in its own sense. I mean, it'll be fun, it'll be a lot of things, but I definitely expect it to be challenging. And so that's probably going to be in and of itself a challenge. And then if I have to travel for longer periods of time during the year, then making sure that I can stay true to continuing with my clients while traveling and while accommodating for time differences and, you know, all those minor details that go into the everyday activities of an online business.
What's your current relationship status?
Well, the current relationship status is still very much single. And like, whether or not it'll change, I mean, I might disclose, but I'll definitely continue to keep my relationship private. But it is still single for now. I will add a comment on this. I think last year, and in videos I've made in the past, I've been very, very clear about how being in a relationship more times than not is probably a detriment to your ambition and the work you want to do if you are not spending your time, quote unquote, productively towards making the work matter and creating the things you want to create. But I will say, like, during the last half year or so, meeting more people has helped me come to realize that it so much depends on the person that you choose to be with. Like, you can find someone who will not only not be a hindrance to you reaching your goals, but can actually support you in doing it. And so if you can find someone like that, I think it is worth prioritizing the relationship next to the business or your ambition. But you need to be very clear that, you know, the sum of the parts is greater than the individual parts.
What's a piece of advice you want to give to anyone watching this?
Well, I want to say to anyone watching this that if you have ambition, if you want to start a business, if you know there's something you want to build in your life, you know you're meant for more, if you want to get in shape, you want to get your life in order, then my best advice is start now. And when you're looking at how to start now, this can look like such an overwhelming task, but by identifying the difference between who you want to be and who you are right now, and then breaking that difference into as small chunks as possible, so you can look at what is the next step right in front of me. Like, what is the tiniest change I can make today? And then what is the tiniest change I can make tomorrow? And then if you continue stacking, compiling those small changes, you will start building that momentum. You will start believing more in yourself. You will start believing in your competence and your ability to overcome bigger challenges. And that will help you, in the end, reach that goal and close the gap towards becoming that person you want to be. But you gotta know who you wanna be, and you gotta know what's the difference between the person you are now and the person you want to be.
What do you want to be different when you do the interview next year?
So when it's 2026 and we're doing this interview again, what I want to be different. I think by next year this time, I would like to be done with all the free work for my clients. Not necessarily because I don't enjoy doing it for free, but because I think it'll be better for me to challenge myself to do more this year. And I know that if I can start doing it paid, then I'll be able to prioritize spending more time on it because I'll be able to sustain doing it better as well. So I would like to start getting into paid work with the program next year. I mean, other than that, I'm very grateful for the situation I'm in. I don't really have much else I would want to be different. Economically speaking, I know the things will come once I provide the right value, and I'll continue making the videos, I'll continue the program. And so I know if I continue on the right course, things will be where they should be. And I think I'm quite comfortable knowing that. Not comfortable or complacent, but comfortable in my trust towards I will do the right things. I hope this was somehow valuable to you. It's incredibly fun making this video for me, comparing the experience I had last year and all throughout the year to where I am now. I think from next year onwards, I'm gonna make the video and then, inspired what someone else does, I'm gonna rewatch my previous answer on the video before I then make my next answer. I think that'll be a fun comparison to have as well. But I hope you found maybe a little piece of value or insight in this video that you can apply to your situation to make your life better, become the best version of yourself, and get closer to actually realizing and materializing your dreams. And if not, I mean, I hope it was just fun or entertaining elsewise. Thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment saying if you have any tips for improvement or any kinds of questions you would want me to answer in these interviews. I'd gladly take a look at that. And as always, of course, subscribe, like. This is the only way we can grow and help more people change their lives. And in the end, you know it, stay disciplined.